Okay, welcome to In the Stiffs podcast. This is with me, Sam Aiston, and two of my former Shrewsbury Town colleagues, Sir Dave Edwards and Gavin Cowan.
Can we not start with Dave? Can we start? Let's build this up a little bit, because this is, where do we go from that there?
Tears streaming down his face, and he's belting out the last bit. And I thought, wow, how lucky am I? They used to have the song they sang, and it's been taken over by Ruben Neves. But it used to be about me. Curly locks there, aren't there? Between them two.
The two of us. I was looking at him, I was thinking, mate.
Tangled up there.
Yeah, I'm like a better looking Steve McMahon.
Just on that, I remember my dad going back, and he'd recorded teletext.
Yeah.
Because it had been on there, and I'd scored, and he'd obviously gone like, it said underneath Cowan 72. My mum was a Stokey. She's like, Gavin. And I'm like, turn around. She's gone, don't forget to put sun cream on your forehead.
But the question was, did he miss training a lot? I would have known that, but it was a culture shock for me. I mean, I've grown up in a farming background, going to like a very small secondary school in Shropshire, and then come into training and then you get battered by a 30.
I've had to go Birmingham, mate. I can't do this around Shrewsbury. Can't cut this hair in Shrewsbury, mate. I've had to go Birmingham.
But you'll still remember your debut and that sort of thing.
Everything about it. It just means the world to you.
Yeah. If you ask like Sergio Ramos or whatever, they'll remember their first game like that, because you can't recreate that feeling, can you? I don't think Dave would have the regrets that maybe you would have about how the extra training.
Agreed.
Welcome in the Stiffs podcast. Today we are going to be taking some questions from our loyal fan base. Okay, are we all right, lads?
Very well. How are you?
Tired? It's a bit late.
It's very late. It's 10 o'clock. I haven't been home since I left for work at 6:30 this morning. I don't want to blame anybody, but it's Gav's fault.
1,000,000%.
In my defence, I had a staff outing this evening, and I've made it work. I've made it work. Come on.
That he didn't mention last night when we were here until 10 o'clock, but anyway.
Who were you here with?
And you were the one who sent out the calendar invites 2 weeks ago for this date and time.
And Gav, you nearly pulled it around by bringing pizza, but then we've opened up the pizza. Obviously, Gavin's a vegetarian. Are you vegan or vegetarian?
Vegetarian.
He's a vegetarian, so we've opened up a pizza and cheese and tomato. So I've gone, don't worry, there's another one. Open the next one up. That one's cheese and tomato too. Two worst pizzas.
The worst thing is there's not even any veg on there. So I just want to cater to the group. Do you know what I mean? I'm thinking the team player there, like for me and for you.
You need to be good today on this podcast.
I'm on it. Listen, I'm on it. Listen, let's get on to the questions.
Okay, let's get on to the questions. First question comes from a Charles Crossland. He says, what was Nigel Jemson really like? Is it true in the relegation season he rarely turned up for training, or is that a myth? Obviously, Gav, you
first of all, Charles Crossland, great guy.
Is he? I don't know.
Know him. Yeah, pastor of a church. Brilliant guy. Okay. Really lovely guy. And is massive Shrewsbury supporter. Very, very vocal about the podcast as well.
Dave, what are your recollections of Gemmo? He follows the podcast.
For this question, I probably couldn't answer the actual context of that, because I was a first year scholar, so I didn't know a lot what was going on inside the first team. I'd turn up, and some days I'd train with the first team, more the back end of that year, but I was always petrified of Gemmo, absolutely petrified of him, just because of we spoke before about big characters and how much they demand things out of training. Gemmo was like that, but I think it was more because of the stage of his career he was at, so he'd want other people to do his running things, but he's one of those ones, if he was on his five-a-side team, you were worried he's going to have a pop at you. So he probably won't remember me much, but I was terrified of him. And all the lads, he had a reputation.
That older, was he?
He had a reputation in the youth team as being horrible.
I think it's not what you wanted when you were a pro, was it? You didn't want the youth team.
When you were a young pro, you mean?
Yeah, when you were a young pro, you didn't want the youth team lads to be scared of you. You wanted to respect you.
It was more normal back then, though, wasn't it? You didn't care what they thought as much.
No, maybe not. I mean, from my point of view, it was difficult because at the time, me and him didn't get on at all, really. And but initially I did when he signed. I got on quite well with him. We had a few nights out and he'd come to my house and things. But that season, you know what it's like when you're losing? When you're losing games as well, like you start to fall out. It's a natural thing, isn't it? You know, everybody talks about, the team spirit. Well, if you're winning games, team spirit's easier. It takes care of itself. We were losing games. So all of a sudden there was a bit of disharmony, wasn't there, with some of the older lads. And Gemmo lived in Nottingham, like some of the lads did. Now, obviously, when I was a young lad, I didn't really understand that. And I used to think, well, should be living here. But obviously, as I got older and played for Tranmere and Northampton and Wrexham, I suddenly realised, well, I've got a family here. My kids are in school. I'm not going to uproot for a 1-year contract somewhere else. So I think, in hindsight, now looking back, I think probably I was a bit unfair to Gemmo in lots of ways. That why should he move to Nottingham? Why should he move, from Nottingham to Shrewsbury?
But the question was, did he mistraining a lot. So I would have known
Yeah.
that bit. Because you would have never mistraining as much, would you?
No, well, and that was it. So he wasn't always in training, but also then you can understand why. Because I mean, even when we were games, big guy like Brian Little said to me, "Don't come in Tuesday, Sam. Like I just trained on a Thursday because I had other commitments and I was living in Shrewsbury."
Do you remember
Kev Ratcliffe would have given him permission for that?
Kevin Ratcliffe had an agreement, and he just said, "You don't need to come training every day. You can train with Notts Forest." I think there's a bit of confusion, though. I don't know how accurate this is. I'm sure Gemma will probably listen to this, and he'll be able to shed a bit of light on it. I think Gemma was supposed to go into Notts Forest a little bit, and I don't know whether he was. So I think that caused a little bit of unrest. But yeah, it was difficult because we were training every day, so we'd be in sort of the Monday and the Tuesday, and Gemma wouldn't be in. Then he'd come in on a Thursday, and like you said,
a bit of resentment. Then
he could be a bit tough with the young lads, and I was at that sort of in between because I would have probably been sort of 23, 24. But I was mate with a lot of the young lads, like Tolly and stuff was still quite a young lad, so I was sort of quite protective of them. So a few times where Gemma would have a go at them, and I'd be like, "Don't have a go at them. Shut your mouth. Like, have a go at me. You won't have a go at me, will you?" And then we had a few little confrontations like that. So there was always that little bit of difficulty between us. Because I just find him a little bit annoying. But then also as I get older, you sort of see where he's coming from a little bit. And also it's probably difficult for him because he's been at a top place. He's played with top players, and then suddenly he's playing with all us young lads who were like, great lads, good footballers, but obviously probably weren't as consistent as what he was used to, or maybe even sometimes as professional.
And you think as well, like with the question being like, did he train as much as what he should have done? It's like the reality is, was that from him? It could have been from Kevin Ratcliffe because he could have wrapped him in cotton wool, couldn't he?
But also, did he need to train as much? Like I was 23, like I should have been training every day.
Yeah.
I mean, I have to check it here, but he's probably 31, 32, so he probably didn't. He probably could manage himself a little bit better. Yeah. I mean, he wasn't in great. He was carrying a little bit of timber, if I'm honest. He probably didn't need to train a little bit more.
Yeah. I mean, my only knowledge of him, and I wasn't anywhere near around Shrewsbury with him, but like obviously I saw him from Nottingham Forest, and I always used to just think he was that like slightly tubby centre forward that would pull something out with his left foot.
He's one of those ones who perhaps doesn't need to be fit as anything the way he plays, is he?
Yeah.
He's clever, he dropped into the pocket,
Yeah,
he could use his body well, he could back into people.
Technically really good.
Technically very good. And obviously he'll go down in history at Town for those 2 goals against Everton.
And he had a good partnership with Luke. And you got on
probably
Luke's
helped
case.
Luke a lot.
He helped Luke massively.
When you think back at the way Luke was then, he was Luke's dream really, wasn't he? The way he would drop in and Luke would run in behind.
Yeah. We'll ask Luke about it, hopefully when we get Luke on in the future. But I think Luke would say Gemma was a massive influence.
Luke will say he made Gemma.
But yeah, I mean, I'm sure Luke will say that Gemma was a huge influence and really got the best of Luke and helped him a lot. But yeah, he was annoying, and he was annoying to the young lads. And I can imagine for you, Dave.
I was a 16 then.
Yeah,
sort of.
I can imagine for you, he's your worst. He's like the sort of, that Bellamy sort of character you talk about where you don't want to be on a side and training because he would be on your case.
Yeah. But as well, back then as well, the pros were like that, weren't they? Like I say, I had Darren Robotham. Darren Robotham was like ruthless. Do you know what I mean? But 1-to-1, he would be brilliant. He would nurture you. He would care for you. He would try and support you and do what you could. But in front of the lads, and when it came down to football, he was a bit ruthless, to be honest. He was a bit.
It was a culture shock for me. I've grown up in a farming background, going to like a very small secondary school in Shropshire, and then coming to training, and then you get battered by a 31-year-old.
Yeah,
but other people a lot more streetwise than what I would have been able to take it a lot better. And I did take it. I just got on with it, but.
I grew up on the estate the police wouldn't drive down. So like you say, you've got older lads who are like ruthless up to all sorts of stuff, and they would dictate to you and they would tell you, and you would do this and you won't be there and you will, so it was a little, like you say, whether it was a culture shock for you, I was a bit like, this is norm really. You just get bullied by your elders, don't you?
What can you remember about the other lads then? I mean, there's a few like that. Bavo was a bit like that, wouldn't he? Ryan would have a whinge, wouldn't he? Mossy would have, Tolly would have a whinge at lads, wouldn't
they would always have a whinge, but I always had a good relationship with them. They always, I don't know, they would always chat to you as like, I don't know, I never had any.
You were closer in age,
I
suppose. You saw a lot more.
But even so I look at the older boys, and it's completely different. Pete Wilding was amazing with me. Andy Thompson, amazing with me. They probably won't remember me as a 16-year-old, but you know what it's like when you go and train with a group, and like I felt it as I've been older. When a young lad comes in, you want to make them feel welcome and at ease a little bit. But there's a lot of players who don't do that, and they're not bothered by it, and why should they be? But I remember the Pete Wildings, the Andy Thompsons, which I think who else was that sort of age. I remember
Dave Hughes, centre half would have been, wouldn't he? Matty Redmile.
Goalkeeper Cartwright.
Mark Cartwright, Mark Cartwright. So
all sort of.
What was that like with you?
You was.
Go on, Dave. Go on, Dave.
We're talking about everybody else. Think, hold on a minute.
Go on, Dave. Be honest. Go on, tell me what you told me off
when you were 16, what would I have been then? 25.
I always thought you lot. You had like the
you were
group,
16.
So you had
Sam
like,
would have been 30.
So you had Sam. You had Luke Rogers, Jamie Tolley, Darren Moss, Ryan Lowe. All like a real close knit group, but it was just always fun and games with you. Like you was always joking around, so it was quite an easy environment to go in. It'd be more like I'd be there and I'd be kind of like earwigging what's going on. Then I'll be ringing my mates afterwards. You'll never guess what, and I'll be telling stories. So, but no, you was. I think I told the story before about the once when I bleached my hair completely blonde. No. So it was after I bleached hair, but then I'd shaved my hair off. And then I was a little bit nervous about it, and I poked my head out the dressing rooms, and Sam's gone running past and gone, "How small is his head?" in front of everyone. And I was like, "Oh no!"
Yeah, that's not to be horrible. You don't just get a laugh off. You do anything to get a laugh off the lads.
At your expense, of course. It's funny because like what you were saying there, when I was at Shrewsbury, when I signed, I think I was about 23, and like I was very much like you, Sam. I was very much in that in between stage. So you had like your Darbs. And your Dave Waltons and a few of the lads who were a little bit harsh on the younger lads. But I had like your Jamie Haynes, Gav Cadwallader, George Hughes, Henry Go, like these brilliant lads who were, and like I loved them. Do you know what I mean? So I couldn't do enough for them because I sort of half related to them. But I was also in with the Darbses. So Darbs couldn't understand why I'd entertain them. I'd be like, Darbs, like it's just young lads want to do well in the game. Do you know what I mean? But I also understood that from Darbs' perspective, he was like, look, I've grafted for 15 years to get where I get to. They've got to earn the right as well. And what I think the intention of it is quite pure. So I don't think it's a bully mentality. I think it's almost like I've got the respect for you to actually say, look, if you're going to be in this environment, then you need to work at it and you need to be cleaning the boots. You need to be making sure the changing room's right. And then actually, if you're going to come and train with us, you need to keep them standards as well. So I don't think sometimes it's definitely bullying. But I think sometimes the intention of it is actually to go, look, you got to earn the right to be here because I've been through it. So I know what it takes and you've got to go through that if you genuinely want to be here as well.
Going back to Gemma, I would never say he was a bully or anything like that. I think he just had standards and do you know what I mean? That's all it was, just had standards and
intention, innit? What was his intention?
Yeah, so that was it.
And I think as well, like you said, if he was on your team, you'd be on your game. You wouldn't be hiding because he would dig you out.
Yeah.
You know, whereas not everybody would do that. No. He would go, hold on a minute, hold on, I can't hide here. Yeah. Good. Happy with that. Right, lads. Question from Ben Curden. If you could relive one moment from your careers, what would it be? Start with you, Dave, shall we? Relive one moment. So it's something really special.
Yeah, something special. There's a couple. Again, we probably mentioned them before on the podcast of some of the highs. I would say as an actual moment, I would say it'd have to be the opening game of the Euros, singing the anthems.
Who was your first game against?
Slovakia. So
and you won that?
1-2-1, yeah.
You started in that, didn't you?
Started that game. Bale scored a free kick after like 15 minutes. It was incredible. It was insane. But the actual moment of singing the anthems, that was so special.
Where that was in?
It was in Bordeaux.
Right.
So it was like 50,000. Full of Welsh fans. And what was nice about it, if you've got an away game, usually you go for a walk on the morning of the game.
Yeah.
So we're walking around Bordeaux and it's just Welsh fans everywhere. And they couldn't believe their luck. They got the Welsh team walking around. So we had 3 security guards with us, all 3 of them wearing gas.
The rest of you just fine. We're here.
But no, that was like unbelievably special. So if I could do that again.
And specifically when you're singing the anthem.
Yeah. That was just, So right.
Because how many Wales fans in the ground?
There must have been, 15, 20,000. But I think it was just all building up to that. They hadn't qualified for a tournament since 1958. And we were facing the dugout and the away fans were sort of behind us to the right. They were sort of filled behind the goal and around that corner. And we had obviously screens at the end of each one. And as it's come to the end of the anthem, you're singing it. I was more worried about getting all the words right and things like that, because as the camera's coming down, I'm thinking, I've got to get the words right. And then I kind of, towards the end of it, as you get into like the big sort of crescendo of everything, I turn around to the one screen and there's just this Welsh fan, like literally breaking to his knees, tears streaming down his face, and he's belting out the last bit. And I thought, wow, how lucky am I? Like I'm stood on this pitch. 11 people get selected to play for this, and I'm one of them. It was just outraged. And a few club moments, say captaining Wolves at Liverpool when we won in the FA Cup. That was brilliant. Again, they used to have a song they sang, and it's been taken over by Ruben Neves. But it used to be about me. I'll give him that one. But I always remember, they always used to sing, is like...
What's the song? Sing it.
So, we've got Edwards, Super Dave Edwards. Yeah. So I'm standing in the tunnel at Anfield, and cause it's an FA Cup game, you get more tickets. So there was 9,000 Wolves fans there, all on the Anfield Road end. And I'm stood in the tunnel next to Lucas Laver, their captain. I'm speaking to the mascot, and I can just hear outside that song being sang.
Brilliant.
And I thought, wow. And then when you get out there, then you'll never walk alone, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
I would say, yeah, they're the two.
Can we not start with Dave? Can we start? Let's build this up a little bit, because this is, where do we go from that there?
What about England though? What about when you came, obviously in the second game of the Euros, you played against England.
Yeah.
So like, what was that like?
So I've gone from the absolute high of like 5 days earlier to that game. So I came on in that game with about half an hour to go.
And you winning what? Winning
1-1 when I came on. Right. So Bale had scored that free kick early in the first half.
Past
Joe, yeah. That was a bit weird, because it's one of those ones where Joe will be disappointed because it's such a long way and it kind of went over his hand. And I'm there cheering, and they're thinking, that's my mate. He's going to get battered for this.
Just threw one in a bit there.
So it's a bit weird, but obviously I was buzzing. But then obviously I came on, and it was a tough game. They were really coming into it more and more, and they were really pushing for the winner. And I think it's more because I felt like I was really involved in their goal, because Sturridge has got the ball and he's running at me. I'm on the edge of the box. We're camped in a little bit. He's picked up the ball in the left channel. He's running towards me, and all I'm thinking, Daniel Sturridge, watch the ball, because he does all his step overs. I think just watch the ball. Don't sell yourself, as he's getting close to the box. And then he pops a pass off, and I'm thinking, thank God for that. And then he's gone off my shoulder, and I've looked around, and I thought, there's loads of Welsh shirts there, about 5 lads, 6 lads even, a few England shirts in there. I thought, I can let him go because he's just running into trouble. And there's been a little bit of a melee, and all of a sudden the ball's popped out the other side. It's landed to Sturridge.
No.
I'm like, no!
Don't score, please miss!
And then he puts it away, and they score, and I felt like that. It's my fault. It's my fault. And you look at it back, and it's...
Did you not do the whole, like, waving your arms to the defenders and that? Like, lads, like, who's marking?
Oh, it was horrendous. And then I was almost like, when you kind of watch it back, and then you listen to the analysis and stuff like that, and no one ever mentioned my name in it like it was a problem. But I was still thinking, if I'd have just body checked him or something like that. But it's different than if I'd have body checked him and gave a foul away and then put in the free kick. Do you know what I mean? But I made that split second decision where I looked behind me. I thought, it's fine. But it's one of the biggest games of my life.
That's the level though, isn't it?
And the 92nd minute, Gary Neville sprinting past me up the line, like celebrating. Joe's running past me. And I was like, I was feeling for you a minute ago.
Yeah. I mean, ironically, I was watching that at Ponsonby School, probably 5 minutes from your house with all the kids. I remember watching it, and we all went crazy because it was amazing that England won that. Because England hadn't played well though, had they? Like,
not at all.
You'd played really, really well, hadn't you, that day?
Not to our standards, but we had matched them. So I always remember after that game, Chris Cowan come out and he took the complete blame for the whole thing, because he said that he got us 2 up for it. It was too much of a sort of home nations game, and let's go out there and let's fight. Let's make sure we batter them like that way. Whereas we weren't that sort of team. We were a passing team. Do you know what I mean? We were very methodical in the way we play. We had good players. We would defend really well, and we put our bodies on line, but we passed really well, and we didn't do that against England at all. And he come out afterwards and he was like, it was all my fault. Then we went into the Russia game, the next one, which we had to get a result to get through. And he just said, whatever we do, you pass that ball. It doesn't matter what goes wrong. If anything goes wrong, it's all my fault. But you pass that ball, went through all our patterns. I always remember the first 2 minutes, massive game. But Ben Davies has got the ball at like the left back area. He whizzes the ball into Joe Allen, who's marked in midfield, 2 players on him. He just bops it out the other side first time, and we're out. And all of a sudden, that's the pressure just gone. Yeah. But no, so then obviously it went brilliant from there. But the England game, that was really disappointing, gut-wrenching.
Yeah, I can imagine. But what a game to be involved in.
Yeah. Oh, class.
I've never asked you, we disappointed obviously you didn't start in that, because you'd started the previous game.
The midfield 2 all through the qualifying campaign were Joe Allen and Joe Ledley. Joe Ledley broke his leg sort of in the... sort of the back end of the season. Everyone thought there's no chance of him getting back, but Chris Cowan picked him. Then all of a sudden he had to play with something like protecting it and things like that, but he was getting to a point where he's pretty much fit. But Joe Allen was just coming back from an injury as well. And first game, I thought, he can't play them both together. Probably had Andy King for Leicester. Just won the Premier League that season. And he would have thought, I'm definitely coming in. So I didn't, not in a million. I was just buzzing to be in the squad. Yeah, I remember sitting on the bus to training the day before the Slovakia game. And I'm real good mates with Kingy. I sat next to him and he's like, "You starting tomorrow?" I was like, "No chance." He goes, "Oh, the gaffer's just pulled me." He says, "You're starting." Made a panic all of a sudden just saying. I was like, "Why?" But then at the same time, I was like, "This is just amazing. This is just amazing."
Got to be on it.
And then I remember Chris Coleman pulled me that day and says, "You're going to be starting tomorrow." He said, "It's been a tough one. Obviously, I can't play Joe, and Kingy's had a good year." He says, "I can just trust you though." He says, "I can trust you." He says, "Don't worry about anything else." He says, They've got Hamzik in midfield and for Slovakia. He's their danger player. He says, "I want you to just play." So for Wales, I played a lot more defensive, holding role. And he says, "Just always try and be in the right position. If we get counter-attacked on, be there. Give the ball to the better players." And I kind of knew my job in that team, but look after Hamzik. And then as we're doing the warm-up, as we've gone out on the pitch before the game, I'm still thinking, he might not play yet. And then on the big screen, as we're looking around the pitch, it shows Slovakia arriving. He's there. He's got a Mohican. Completely shaved down the side, these little round sunglasses. I thought, oh no, he's turned up and he's having himself as well. Yeah. So just on that then, when you see that and he's having himself, what are you thinking? Are you thinking, oh, flipping it, he's having himself, he's going to be a player? Or are you thinking... I knew he was a player, but I'm thinking, I'm going to show him. Exactly. About 90 seconds in, ball's gone down their right-hand side towards the edge of our box. He's got the ball. I've gone flying in to smash him. Chop me. Watch me. Ashley Williams comes in, does exactly the same, goes past him, and I'm 90 seconds into the opening game of his night, first couple of minutes, first game of the Euros. I'm on my arse, looking behind me. Hamzik's one-on-one with Danny Ward, goes round Danny Ward. I'm just thinking, goal, done. Slides it in. Ben Davis out of absolute nowhere comes and clears it off the line. Yeah. And then that kind of... Benji!
Well done you. Mate. Well done you.
But yeah, I was just, and I remember Chris Coleman at halftime says, just relax. Do you know what I mean? Because he always used to say, you need fire in your belly, but ice in your veins. Yeah. Just relax. Don't you say no big shapes. Don't go and throw yourself into big tackles. And then after that, it was a bit of magic from Gareth Bale. Then even, Hal Robson Kanu then scored. Great ball from Aaron Ramsey.
Tell me, how well did he do that tournament? Though,
he was out of contract as well. Good.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, well. There you go.
I've heard him on
a little contract on the horizon.
I've heard him on the high performance. Fascinating man he is, isn't he?
Yeah, he's a great guy.
Got a turmeric company, hasn't he? So he does turmeric company. Yeah.
Go on then, Gav. Very good. Tell us about it. One moment of your career. Not one moment. Dave's done three there. Go on.
Yeah, sorry.
Just one, Dave, please. Dave's killed me a little bit, but no, I think like the thing is for you, Dave. Like obviously, some of your average moments would just be out of this world for me. So I think like for me, it's more for you have those real moments that are just so dramatic. Whereas like I suppose for me, it's never really that dramatic because the level I played at and the level I chose to play at. So it's like. It's never that dramatic. So I think some of the things I remember is obviously like I always remember scoring a diving header against Macclesfield in the FA Cup. And I remember it because there's we've got 4 pictures that were sent to us. And the first one is the ball coming in. And as I'm going for it, in the behind the goal, you can see my mum, my dad, and then my nephew on my dad's shoulders. So obviously as the ball's coming in, you see me going for it. Good that it's in pictures because it doesn't show how slow I got to the ball. But the next one is me stooping and like obviously their eyeballs getting bigger and then me connecting and then the fourth one's me scoring. But then obviously like my family have obviously like all the supporters and everyone behind the goal have all flooded too. So seeing that celebration, I think from a personal point of view, although that goal saw us through to the next round of the FA Cup and that was brilliant, I suppose that's a real poignant moment for me because it's a very like family orientated moment. Yeah. I think as much as we joke about the best of the worst and all of that, I think the England things, the England C caps for me were really big because although it's England C and I totally understand it, it was just even having that feel of it. And obviously I was never going to play for England in terms of like the senior squad, but just having that feel and like they essentially in the England C squad you were treated like England. Yeah. There was no like they didn't pull back on it. We're going away for 3 days.
I suppose also away from club football, you've been recognition, isn't it, to play? So you've been selected. So,
of course, yeah.
You know what I mean, so it's not a case of you're club football and you're playing. You've been selected out of a big group of players to go and
it was a real big thing, you know. And like, but when you go, it's like almost like Sam says a little bit. You're a bit flippant and like, I could go on holiday with the lads here a little bit. But actually, when you're there, we're in a hotel here, like talk 5-star, 3 days. I mean, you know, when you go on international duty, you eat too much food. It's that experience. And I always remember we're getting on the coach to go into the cinema. So one of the evenings was like, there's a little bit of downtime, I'm going to go to the cinema. And obviously there was loads of kids around, and they were told that England would come in. So obviously they don't know, do they? They don't know it's England C, it's Gavin Cowan and not John Terry.
Did you sign anything as John Terry?
4 times, yeah. But obviously when you get off you just get an understanding of what it is. You know, you get an understanding of what it feels like. And things like that will never leave me.
It's a taste though, isn't it? It's a taste of it, isn't it?
That little taste. And again, I think making my debut for Shrewsbury at Cheltenham was a really big thing, because I always remember I stepped into playing League 2 football, and it was like, well, what are you going to be like? And I played really well on the night. And Joe Hart had obviously played in goal, and he was also, I think, into his second game. I think he made his debut against Oxford. Yeah. Then I was thrown in the next game. And it's like, though, I suppose there's quite a continuous flow of moments like that aren't like out of this world, but I could probably go on and say about 40, 50 things that I think, wow, that was a real amazing experience, you know?
Your debute's always going to be massive though, isn't it?
Yeah.
I know you say your debut for like the Shrewsbury, it doesn't matter. Your debut is like a professional or whatever it is massive. Yeah. It's like, your first game in anything, it's huge, isn't it?
Well, the Canvey thing we talk about, what we've got to remember is Canvey now, obviously, I don't know what step they're at, but at the time, we're in a conference, and it was like massively backed financially, and Jeff King had done amazing things with it. But my debut for Canvey was against Kingstonian, and I'll always forget, the goalkeeper kicked the ball out. It had superseded his previous kicks. So previously, he was kicking around the halfway line, but he got it out of his hands and hadn't done the half volley. He'd done the full-on Bruce Grobler, kicked it on the full. So as it had gone right over the back of the defence, it's going over my head, and I just lost sight of it. It come over my left shoulder. I was the last man. I got Tim Seals, he was called. I don't know if you remember, went to Hereford and played for Aldershot and whatnot. But he was bearing down on me. I was thinking, shit, I'm in trouble here. But as it's come over my left shoulder, I sort of, to this day, I'm not explaining this to anyone. As it's come over my left shoulder, I've stuck my left foot out and I've caught it on the edge of my toe like Maradona.
just stuck.
Out of the sky.
Yeah.
Complete fluke. So as it's come out of the sky, I've caught it on my left toe, complete fluke. Obviously, styled it out, played it back to the keeper. Obviously,
relax, lads, relax.
Crowd are like,
GC's got this.
Claps everywhere, and lads are like, well, I'm like, yeah, lads, it happens every week.
Relax, lads.
Styled it out as if it happened all the time. I was thinking, shit, flipping out, like, that just landed on my toe there. So it's all these little moments that you remember. And just a quick one, playing for Shrewsbury. I remember my home debut for Shrewsbury was against Scunthorpe, and they were top at the time. Peter Beagrie played for him and all that. It was 0-0. Got man of the match. Loved it, everything about it. I remember my father, who I hadn't seen for a while, had actually been in the bar after, so was there. So really, obviously things that you remember. Yeah. But I always remember, balls come to me, and there's no one within about 20 square yards of me. It's come to for me to head it. So really, as a centre half, you're thinking, what else going to do here? So I've taken a little bit of a look around, gone, right, there's no one around me. So I've just chested it down, cushioned it, played it out to Trevor Chalice, playing left back. Yeah, Trev, got a little bit of a ripple from the crowd. So I started having myself a little bit. Grew into the game, got man of the match, went in the bar after, my father's there, brilliant, all these brilliant moments. I remember getting to the training ground on Monday, Gary Peters has come up to me and gone, Gavin, can I see you at the ground after training? So lads have all heard it. I've gone, yeah, Gaffer, yeah, no problem. Lads like, new contract already?
Getting a move here.
I'm on it, yeah, here we go.
Good luck to keep me hold of me, gal.
So to the lads, probably won't see me again. All the best lads. Got to the ground, he's got one of them, box TVs with a DVD player in it. So he's gone, just talk me through this. There it is, comes out the sky. Here's me chesting it down, cushioned it. Yeah, Trev, go on, mate. Take that into the mid phase.
Gal, wasn't it?
Yeah, little ripple from the crowd. What do you think about that, gal? He's gone, talk me through that. I've gone, yeah, really good on, really pleased. How good am I? He's gone, don't you, like literally gone from being the nicest guy in the world, like we're talking now, gone, don't you ever do that again. What? Sorry? He's gone, do not ever do that again. What do you mean? He said, the next time that ball comes to you, you take a step back, you get your neck muscles engaged and you head that as far as you can head it. So I've gone, well, Gaffer, you've caught me off guard here. There's no one within 20 square yards of me. I've been brought up to play. You don't do that here. You're a defender and you defend first. But although that's like obviously getting grilled by the Gaffer and all that, then they're the moments that I'll just remember forever because they teach you a lesson and all of that. So I think I've got loads of little moments that are brilliant. But I've got great little moments as well that teach me lessons and that. So I suppose I've got very smaller but regular ideas of poignant moments in my career. Sam?
I think you touched on a couple of things there that I think are important, like your family being there. Like that's, you remember things like that, and I'll go back and debuts. I mean, I'd go back to my Sunderland debut. So I just like I'd done my year level, so I went straight as a pro. I remember we were playing Ipswich away, and back then there was 2 subs, so there was only like 14 or 15 travelled. We played Ipswich away in the Championship.
How good's Portman Road as well?
Yeah, well, yeah. So we had Ipswich away, and we flew. So straight away, I'm going flipping. I'm used to being on the school minibus, like, you know what I mean? We flew to Ipswich. Like this must. I think I'd have to check that, but I must have been in September. It must have been like I'd only been a professional like 5 or 6 weeks, and like Gaffer's like, you're in the squad. So I'm like, right, I'm in the squad. Ipswich away. So we're down in the tracksuits. I'm on the plane. Going, hold on a minute. I'm on the plane down to Ipswich from Newcastle Airport. Like I'm 18. I'm like, what is happening here? Like sat here with like Kevin Ball and a few of these sons, like Shea Given and all these sort of people. And Gaffer's had pulled me on the plane. Like, Sam. So, oh my God, Gaffer wants me. I have a little panic up. Yes, Gaffer. You're gonna be sub tomorrow. And like you only had 2 subs back then, so like being sub was a big deal.
2 subs.
2 subs when I first started. Then I think the second season they introduced a goalkeeper as a sub as well, but I think it was 2 subs. So like, if you're a sub, it's a bigger deal. Like now we have like 7 subs. You might not get like then. You got a good chance. I know like they didn't make as many subs as what they do these days. So like sub at Ipswich. I just remember that as being a massive moment. I remember sitting down on the plane and Craig Russell has gone, and Mickey Gray and that were going, he's panicking. And I'm like, oh yeah, lads. But like proper panicking.
Yeah.
Thinking, oh no. And I remember could not get to sleep, like terrified. I remember Martin Smith, great footballer. And I remember the next day, obviously did the walk and the pre-match. I remember all this being a blur, thinking, I'm sub. And we were getting beat 3-0. Alex Matthews scored a hat-trick for Ipswich.
Player he was.
Alex Matthews at Newcastle for a bit. I remember coming on a sub about 60 minutes. Peter Reid's going, go on then, have a go on that left wing. I remember coming against little Mickey Stockdale. It was like a bit
Stockwell.
of
Mickey Stockwell
was that it? And a bit of an Ipswich legend. And just come on again and being like fearless and running down the wing, just thinking, this is mental. I can't remember what the crowd was, but it was the Ipswich show. Probably, I don't know, maybe 20,000?
20 odd thousand.
There must have been 20,000. So there's 20,000 people there. Sunderland always take a following. So there's probably like, I don't know what it would have been, like 5,000 Sunderland fans.
Because the away supporters are always in that far corner, aren't
If you're playing left wing second half, that's where they'd be.
Yeah, so I'm suddenly just on the left wing. And we got beat after the game. I just come in at the end of the game. Everybody was like, because it was my debut, everyone's got like brilliant. Like, everyone, like, we'd been terrible. Lost 3-0. Peter Reid, obviously, he's not taking a 3-0. He's not taking a 3-0 defeat very well. But afterwards, he was like, well done, Sam. Well done. Peter Reid, like, and not really spoke to him. I'd already been there, and I thought, wow. I remember that. But it was that bit on the plane, like going down there, and I suddenly thought, how have I, like 6 months ago, I'm doing my A-levels, and like, and I'm suddenly sitting on the plane going, you're on the bench tomorrow in the Championship. And then there's a couple of one, and then there's another one that's probably about a month later, maybe even less, I'd have to check the dates, but another one where it's like, we're playing Liverpool at Roker Park in the League Cup, I think it was. I can't remember, I don't know whether we played at home or away, but anyway, but Rob Jones, right back for Liverpool. Yeah. He got sent off for something with Martin Smith on the left wing. So I think we were getting beat 1-0, and I've come on at half time, like at Roker Park. This was like my home debut. Come on at half time, like Gaffer's like that. Again, 2 subs. Gaffer's gone, Sam, get stripped. You're coming on. What?
So what year is this then?
This must have been. So I was 18. So that must have been like 1994, possibly.
So Liverpool have still got a massive reputation at this point.
Yeah, Liverpool are massive. Liverpool have got David James in goal. They've got Ruddock, McManaman, Collymore, Fowler. They're all playing.
And set the scene then. So Roker Park for obviously everybody.
Roker Park. So like Roker Park, was like 20,000. Like all sort of fans. So come on at half time. I remember coming on, and I was like stood there, and McManaman's like stood next to me. I remember like I think it was like Phil Gray.
Some curly locks there, aren't there? Between them two.
The 2 of us. I was looking at him. I was thinking, mate.
Tangled up there.
Yeah, I'm like a better looking Steve McManaman. Yeah. I remember who was it? Someone shouted. I think it was Phil Gray set the forwards going like, Sam, when you get him in my feet, and I was like, yeah, I know what I'm doing. I remember Steve McManaman like stood next to me and like laughed a bit. I thought, I've just made a Steve McManaman laugh there. I'm thinking, hold on a minute.
It don't matter. He's laughing at you.
I was like,
made him laugh.
Get ahead in the game, Sam. You're playing against Liverpool. Yeah, and I just remember that as being like a massive moment. Stood there like next to Steve McManaman, thinking, how have I ended up here again? Like, I'm once again. I remember getting the ball on the left wing, like, and you're fearless, aren't you? Because he's 18, and you don't know. Because you haven't done the apprenticeship and all that thing, so you just don't know. So I'm just thinking, I'm getting it, and I'm just running, and I remember just getting the ball and running, and like did quite well, but just like having the right go. But that again, I remember that, and like then coming home and just going against Liverpool. But going back to the Ipswich game, actually, what was amazing about that was I remember come back, and I'd been away at Ipswich, and I come back, and I remember my dad saying he hadn't been to the game, but he'd been away, or he'd been in hospital, or something had happened anyway. And my dad went, "Oh, how'd he go on?" I went, "I come on. What are you on about?" I was like, I come on as sub.
Didn't expect it.
Not
even.
I've to come on as sub. And he was like, "So you played?" I was like, "Yeah, I've played for the first team." And he's like, next time. He's like,
so
and he couldn't
proud,
believe it. And my little brother taped, they have the commentary on. And my little brother taped the commentary from me coming on.
Oh,
so that's what I mean. And they're the sort of memories that you just think, just massive. Like with a family in your debut.
Massive.
And they're the two big things I remember. There's the one, like a little one.
As well, just on that, I remember my dad going back and he'd recorded teletext.
Yeah.
Because it had been on there and I'd scored. And he'd obviously gone, it said underneath Cowan, 72, I think it was. Yeah. And he'd gone, "Got something for you, come back in." And he was like, I'd come back in and he'd recorded it. And obviously my mum had seen it and she's obviously going, "Oh my God, your name's on teletext and all that."
They've just seen your name in the paper and everything.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. It's like, and I bet even for you, Dave, even though you went on, talking about the Euros and that, but you'll still remember your debut and that sort of thing.
Everything about it. It just means the world to you.
Yeah. I think if you ask Sergio Ramos or whatever, they'll remember their first game like that, because you can't recreate that feeling, can you? Like, you're petrified, but you're excited.
And you remember all the good bits, don't you? Like my debut for Shrewsbury, played really well that day, and they were fighting for our lives. I think the idea with bringing me to Shrewsbury wasn't to play me; it was to bring me into the environment to build me up for the next season. And because it wasn't going great, I played the last 5 games of the season, kept us up. But anyway, but I'd come in for the debut, and obviously we were playing Cheltenham, and they were flying at the time. And there's a lad called Spencer, played up front if he's listening. Ben used to deal with him all the time. And but I always remember this game. Obviously, Joe was brilliant on the night, and I played really, really well. But I still think a little bit like what you said, Dave, where no one really picks up on it, no one really understands. But I always think he scored a diving header towards the end of the game, and I was marking him. And to be fair, if I was going to really protect myself, I'd be like, "Oh yeah, but it's a great ball and it's a great header, and he couldn't have done anything about it." There's a little bit of me looking back at that. My Shrewsbury debut, I played brilliant for probably 89 minutes and 90 seconds. But just when that cross came in, he just got the run on me, got the diving header and scored. So again, when we're talking about moments that you remember, it's that little detail. I'm just like, would I go back and just get the run on him? And just, even I always think to myself, I know it's mental, but I've never said this out loud, but when he went to get that run on me, if I'd have just stepped across him and just got my left shoulder and just nudged him a little bit and got my arm across him, still to this day, I think
people do when you're lying in bed at night after a game. You're always going through those things, aren't you? But going back to debuts, they're so special, because I've played a lot of games in my career, and I can probably remember maybe 30, 40 of those games in the career. If you ask me what the score is, whereas the debut, I remember every minuscule detail about it. I remember So the day before, we'd been relegated, and Mark Atkins had taken over with Nigel Vaughan. They told me...
This was the last game for Shrewsbury Town that season.
So it was my first year scholarship. Yeah, Scunthorpe at home, 3rd of May, 2002. Yeah. Or 2003. But anyway, the day of the game, I remember I was that anxious. I always remember I was at my mum's house, and I didn't drive at the time, so mum was going to take me to the game. And I had a ball, went outside, and I was just kicking the ball against the wall from about 12 o'clock to 1 o'clock. Just I was so nervous, energy... Probably didn't think I was going to come on. And you remember, it's 81, 82 minutes, you get the call to come on. Wow, this is happening. And then as I walked on the pitch, we had a goal kick, and he took it. And as the ball's gone there, I've looked and followed the ball as it's going up the pitch, and I can see the Riverside stand, the floodlights, and it just, that moment just stays with me, and just, wow. And then all about getting your first pass away then. I remember Carl Murray used to play centre-half. He used to play centre-half back then. Got my first pass off to him. I was like, right, I'm going now. But yeah, you remember weird details, and then you go on and play however many games, and you don't remember anything about them.
Yeah, because they all blend into one. But you always remember those key moments. And I think it is your debut is massive, and your family being involved and stuff like that. You just remember that it's just been a massive time. I also remember probably one of my favourite games when I played for Tranmere. I scored 2. I never scored 2 in a game. Only 1-7. We won. I can't remember who it was now. We won 4-1. I think it was Chesterfield but for Tranmere, he scored 2. And I remember after the game, we were going. I was going to meet Luke Rogers and Ryan Lowe, and we were going to meet in Liverpool afterwards. I remember Luke had scored. I seen it come up Luke had scored, so we're all ringing each other, all buzzing and all that. And I just remember him in the car on the way. Then I went, "Hiya, Luke, you all right?" It's Sam. And he's like, "Hiya, mate, you all right?" I went, You only scored one today, have you? And it was like, why? What's happened to you? I went, you've only scored one, haven't you? He'd scored for Crew. I went, I scored 2. I went, has Ryan scored? Luke went, Ryan hasn't scored. Ryan hasn't even scored. Ryan hasn't scored.
He's not allowed
Luke
out.
scored 1. I've scored 2. You two get the drinks in. It was really up with them. It was brilliant. I just remember that as being like a funny moment, but...
I remember playing in the got to the FA Trophy final, and obviously massive day, and it was Wembley was being rebuilt. We had to play at Villa Park, which obviously brilliant. I always remember in the warm up, I've run over to the other side. You come out, don't you? Clap the fans and everything. Run over to the other side. My mum's there with my sister, my nephew, and all that. As I've gone over, my mum's like obviously gesturing. I'm like, Mum, Villa Park, like stop. I'm not coming over to have a conversation.
Cool.
Like, I'm not going to empty the dishwasher. I don't know what you're talking about. So run back again and come back. And she gestured me over again. So I've gone over and I thought, I'll just do the right thing. And I can see some of the other lads doing it, but I'm trying to play it cooler. Do you know what I mean? So I've gone over there. She's like, good luck today, son. Thanks, Mum. Yeah, she's like, I've gone, just enjoy the game and that, all right? Like, don't. She's like, yeah. She went, said something really inspirational. I was like, brilliant. Turned, went to run away in slow motion. And she's gone, my mum was a Stokey. She's like, Gavin. And I've like, turn around. She's gone, don't forget to put sun cream on your forehead. And I've gone, okay. And again, another moment is not really football.
That'll come under the question, a bit best advice you've ever been given.
Yeah, there you go, boom. And I've got I've got an 8 head as well, so I need a lot of sun cream to cover that thing.
What about this for a question? Or same person from Ben. If you could change or redo one moment or decision in your careers, what would it be? Mistakes. Gav starts off with that. I think look back as a mistake or moment.
I think we touched on it before about being present, and I think it comes with age, doesn't it? I think for me, I had the conversation today, funny enough, met with a current player and was having a conversation with him around a lot of subjects. Yeah. I do a little bit of mentoring for some current professional footballers around experience, and emotional and social. So anyway, having this conversation with him, I'm obviously having that conversation, and I find myself making excuses for myself because it's funny. Again, I always bring Ben Davies up. Remember Benji at Shrewsbury?
Yeah, played for Derby.
Yeah, played for Derby, Burton,
great footballer, great feet. With the corners and free kicks.
Yeah, corner free kick. Yeah, unbelievable set pieces. So Benji, right, is, don't get me wrong, first of all, brilliant lad, good footballer, energetic, but are we talking like an unbelievable footballer? I wouldn't say yes. Are we talking about set pieces? Well, that's the difference. I remember Brian Little saying about, was it Ryan Taylor? And he was saying, could not pick him. Remember he was saying to us in the car, he was like, can't not pick him because his set pieces are a joke.
He played for Tranmere the season night before that. He scored 10 free kicks. I think that was in the season. Ridiculous. But
with Benji, and I don't know what your thoughts are on this, Dave, I never looked at him in open play and thought, wow. Do you know what I mean? Energetic and busy and all of that, great, and loved him. So I would probably at the time say he was amazing. But in terms of his set pieces and free kicks at next level, I'm talking Beckham-esque.
Made himself indispensable, didn't he?
Frightening.
You have to play him.
Frightening. And what I always remember is being on the pavilion at the Sundawn training ground at Shrewsbury. And go, Benji, come on, mate, it's Tuesday, we've got a day off tomorrow, Bellstone. any danger? Because he loved being with the lads. Wasn't a big drinker, but loved being with the lads. I don't think he drunk at all, did he? But he was great character, loved being with the lads. But and to be fair, I was like, Benji, we're in the gym every other day, after. So I looked at him.
And he's practicing free kicks, and you're changed, ready to go, wanting to go to the
I'm off. I'm gone.
Yeah.
Because that's all I knew.
It's 1 o'clock, yeah? We've got a happy hour.
I'd never had anyone before me, and I'm not trying to shirk accountability, but I'd never had anyone before me who was that dedicated. Yeah. So I'd seen him, and he'd go to the YTs, he'd go, I was a fiver. So we'd have 100 balls, and he'd be like that. He'd go right corner, woof, woof, woof. They'd collect the balls in left, woof, woof. Free kicks, and he'd be there, and I'd be like, Benji, any danger? And he would ignore me. And I remember
rightly so. Okay.
And about 3 years later, I'm making my debut for Grays, and I'm watching him on Sky Sports curling one in for Derby. Yeah. It's not a coincidence, is it?
A couple of things about Benji. So he would say unbelievable set piece taker, but he used to have this thing that he had to stay out last. So a few of us, some days, we would just be hanging around outside.
Trying to see how long
and he wouldn't go in. And we'd be out there, for an hour and a half, 2 hours. And we're like, we're not going to go in until Benji goes in. And he had to be, I don't know if it's a mental thing, but he had to be the last one.
Do you remember Hurdy as well? We were having this banter and we were all in the pavilion having lunch and he's still out there.
Ben, the fullback.
Yeah. And as he's come in, we're all going, who's going to do it? And heard just, as he's come in, he's got onto the concrete steps and heard he's just come out with a football, half volleyed it, just gone for a jog. And he's just turned around and gone, Hurdy, what are you doing? What are you doing? And he's like, just gonna go and just do a few strikes into the corner. And he's like, we're all watching, we're all in the window. Like, proper got our hands like up against the window and that. And he's like going, no, you can't. You can't. And he's like, you can't. You're going to have to come back in. He's like, why? He's like, I'm finished. Like, you haven't been out. What you been doing? Like, have you not showered? And like, proper lost his head, didn't he?
So it's a bit OCD, but also it's not a bad mentality to say I'm going to be last off the training ground.
Another thing, the first time I heard of Ben Davies, so he used to play for Chester originally. So we used to play Chester quite a lot. And I always remember we trained up at RAF Shrewsbury a few times, and he'd be inside. And we were playing Chester at the weekend, and Gary Peters had a flip chart, and he had all of our team written down in like 4-4-2, whatever it was. They had all of Chester's team written in 4-4-2 underneath our names. And he goes, look, lads, I would not swap any of you for these. And he went, goalkeeper, no. And he put the Shrewsbury goalkeeper right back. All the way through his team, got to centre midfield. I'm underneath Ben Davis's name. And he goes, Ben Davis, he's not bad to be fair. But every other player,
no, wouldn't you? Bendy, Davis or Edwards.
But Dave, if you want to go on loan to Chester, let me know.
Oh mate,
there's a possible swap deal there.
Yeah, but like go back to, I always remember with Benji, and there's other accounts of that as well. And I'll happily go, no one ever really took me to the side and did this with me, and I can really shirk responsibility on that. But when you talk about regrets, I always think to myself, like, did I do enough to make myself the best I could be? Because I genuinely believe, and again, I don't talk myself up or anything, but I had certain natural abilities, certain natural athleticism, all natural that I sort of relied on. But did I ever stay out long enough? Did I ever get there early enough? When Leo Fortune West is going to me, come on, let's do some ladders. Was I more intent on laughing at Leo falling through the ladders? Or was I actually going, well, what he's trying to do here? He's trying to help me. I think that's my regret. I don't have regrets really. I don't like to say regret.
I think what you said, I would agree with you 100%. And I think the difference is with Dave is, I don't think Dave would have the regrets that me and you would have about how the extra training.
Agreed.
Because I think how Dave conducted himself away from the training ground and what he did after training. Not that obviously Dave is obviously
I enjoy a lot of natural
ability. But I think you put in a lot of work, and I think you maximised your talents.
The balance was right, Dave, wasn't it? Was I a little bit more interested in having the lads laugh at a little bit of a thing that I did in training, and was I a bit more
100%.
Well, I was there on a night out. I was there.
Yeah, I'll answer that for you. Yes.
Brilliant. That's a success.
No,
that's
it.
Dave,
would you say, Dave, you maximised your... I would say you maximised
there's
your
always
talent.
room. There's always room, isn't there, obviously, to improve and do more and things like that. But I think you talk about talent there, Gav. We spoke about... I don't think I was ever the most talented in any team. Even when I go back to me and my local team, we had good players in our team. I would never say I was head and shoulders above anyone. Yeah,
just quickly, because you are doing yourself with this. You have to put that into context. What you're saying is, when you play it for Wales and Joe Allen's there and Ramsey's there and Bale's there, then you're sort of saying, well, I might not be at that level of their technical ability, but for athleticism, endeavour, understanding, knowledge, research, all of that sort of stuff that comes with being a top player, I think you do yourself a disservice, because you absolutely were good enough to be there, but you're just saying in relation to the top players.
Yeah, but Dave's work is maximised his talents.
I think I work so hard, I think, because I always felt a little bit of an imposter, because I didn't feel like I was as good as... I had a massive rise real quickly from League 2 to the Premier League, and I almost felt a little bit undeserving, because you see the players you're playing with, you're playing against, they're so talented, and that probably meant, if I'm going to be in the team, I need to be the fittest. I need to be the most athletic. I probably did myself a disservice that I had a natural ability to sense stuff. So my anticipation, I think, was probably my best asset. So winning the ball back, I could kind of see where it is going.
And getting on the end of things.
And obviously that came later in my career, getting on the end of things, or
that's anticipation.
But then also doing the work that a Jordan Henderson would do, that no one sees. The fans won't see it. I always thought I was a bit like that. So I'll be running in midfield and I'll be shutting off an angle into the striker. I'd run an extra 10, 15 yards that probably a lot of other players wouldn't run, to shut off an angle so they don't pass it forward, even though they're 30 yards away from me. They go out the other side. No one's seen me do that 15, 20 yards, but the managers do.
The manager does.
The coaches do.
See, the lads. So I know in my career, you read stuff and things like that, and you fans, they want to see the 11 most talented players on the football pitch, don't
of course,
they?
Yeah.
And I wasn't one of those. So even now at Wolves, you talk about the teams that I was playing in, and they say the best 11s. I might be in a few of them, but there's always the talented players in there, but I played every week. Do you know what I mean?
So any players then, Dave, any players who are listening to this, who are thinking about what they're doing and why they're doing it, and again, this is only in relation to a conversation I had today, who are you playing for? Because obviously you've got loyalty to the fans, and I know like you're massive got loyalty to Shrewsbury fans and Wolves fans, and you talk about that off air, and that's genuine. Anyone listen, that is genuine. That's nothing there's for show. But who are you playing for in that moment? Are you playing for the fans who want those like players who like to do the extravagant, like the Neveses and the Martinhos of the, you know, and some of those players that have played in Shrewsbury in the past, or are you playing for the manager?
Absolutely, and your teammates. Earlier in my career, I didn't want to let anyone down, so I would probably overrun, if that makes sense. I'd run so much because I thought, if I've got energy in the tank to do it, I'm going to do it. Yeah, you play for yourself, your teammates, your manager, and you have to kind of block out the crowd to a certain degree.
Block out the noise.
You do. But there's always ways you can improve. You say about maximising your ability, there's always ways you can get a little bit more out. But I think if you'd have told me at 17 that I'd have had the career I did, then I'd have snapped around.
And I think that's the difference. Like I again, I don't look back with any regret. I feel very proud to have earned a living from football for 20 years. You know, I find that mental. You know, I'd have taken that when I was at school, but ultimately, I do look at them little moments and think, if I'd have just had that foresight, and I do find myself again going back to it, almost shirking the accountability and going, well, so and so should have done this for me. Actually, you know, I knew I needed to do more, but in hindsight, it's easy to say, especially when I also had a brilliant time with the lads.
Yeah,
you know,
and amazing memories. I was talking about one of my best mates, Jamie Tollier's, and I think about like the talent he had, and you know, every bit of talent you had, Dave, didn't he?
Yeah,
he did,
yeah.
But his career wasn't like your career, and he'd be the first to say that's down to effort, attitude. You look, I mean, you even look at like on the big players. You look, Gary Neville, he talks about it all the time. Hundreds of England, like was it 80 odd England caps, whatever. Legend, not the most talented player, but makes himself, gets every single ounce out of his career. I think that's definitely. I think me and you would both say that, Gavin. We.
Agreed.
I think understanding what you're good at as well. I think that's a key thing.
What do you mean?
So understanding why you're in the team. Do you know what I mean? You're in the team for a reason. The manager's not picking you because you're great at everything. He's picking you for a specific reason.
Like your super strength.
So you make yourself that super strength. You make sure that is your best ability.
What was your super strength, Stan?
Mine. Yeah. Rapid.
Athletic.
Yeah. Athletic.
Quick.
Rapid. Strong. But again, it's not like you say though. It's natural. Like I was like an athlete. I tell everybody, didn't I? If it wasn't for the football, I would have played for England.
I love that. He must have said that about 700 times.
Tell everybody
it does not wear thin on me,
that.
honestly. Oh, we will be in a restaurant and he'll say that, and I've heard it 700 times.
It's because though, like what Dave done, like you know, there's other things that you should practice, or you regret not practicing them because like your speed and your strength and your athleticism, you know, jumping being faster, jumping higher than everybody, had all that natural ability, but he didn't work on the stuff, like didn't work on the crossing.
And this is the only thing that slightly frustrates me. I felt as though like I always prided myself on being athletic and strong, always competitive and could play, like a centre-half that could play left-footed, and then it just frustrates me that I never worked on that ball down the side of me. Do you know what I mean? That turn. It was always that. I suppose we spoke. What did we say the other day? Sharpness.
Yeah.
Like it was that sharpness of being the ball's down the side of you, bang. If I was a manager playing against Gavin and had Gavin Cowan as the opposition, I'd be like, get down the side of him. Get down the side of him. Don't put it up there for him to head the ball. Don't go up against him.
I used to say that when we played against you in the five-a-side and train.
Yeah,
get
down the side of him. Like, sort him right out.
You'll have a field day.
That's why I played five-a-side, because there wasn't a lot of side to get down, really. So the smaller the pitch, the better.
I think that's like regrets that probably we'd all have. But I'm just thinking about sort of, I think it's hard to regret like not signing for clubs or signing for clubs. And I think especially in lower league, you know what, it makes me laugh when anybody signs lower league, because I think about the clubs I signed for. Very rarely do you have a lot of choice. So it's like, you know, it's like someone signs for Shrewsbury and they'll go, like, we'll see it in the next few months. Someone will go, I've always had a soft spot for Shrewsbury. What a load of rubbish. Yeah. Let me tell you now, the reason why someone is signing for teams in League 1 and League 2 is it's either they've got no other offers and that's all they've got.
Convenient.
Or it's the most money.
Or location.
Or possibly, or the convenience of it. No one is signing because I've always been a Shrewsbury Town
So are
fan.
you telling me, right, that if Sutton United offered me 700 quid and I live round the corner, but Shrewsbury Town offered me £2,000. I could move away from home and I'd get a relocation fee and a signing on fee and I'd get 3 years. Are you saying me that's why I sign for Shrewsbury?
Of course, I mean that's the reality. It might be different for different.
Yeah,
for
it's different for me. I'm
certain.
from Shrewsbury.
Yeah, but it's also different as well. If you're in the Prem maybe and you've got a load of options, but most of the lads like lower leagues, like they're going the money and the convenience. Like they're not going there because they support the team. I remember saying for Northampton, and like the reporters come, so tell me why you signed for Northampton. And I was like, oh well, I really like John Gorman because of his England connections. I watched them a lot last year in League Two when they got promotion, the way they played football. No, it wasn't. It was not, of course that's not the truth. Of course it's not the truth. They've offered me a 2-year contract. They've offered me more money than the other 2 teams that were interested. And that's it. And that's the truth for everybody pretty much who signs in League One and League Two.
I remember when I signed for Shrewsbury, I negotiated a signing on fee as part of my...
How much was that?
As part of the fee. It's so intricate, about intricate details. It's
asking
£10,000. So
no, I don't believe that.
10 grand a sign, right? So it's part of there was the transfer fee, and then I got part of the transfer fee. So I then said to Gary Peters, obviously because I'm moving and that, am I going to get a relocation? And obviously you can imagine what came down the phone. So I just went, you need to speak to Terry, who was like the agent at the time. I was like, you need to speak to Terry because he mentioned to me about a relocation. And I remember like having that conversation. He was fuming that I'd even asked it. So they, in the end, put me up in the Lauderdale Hotel. So they said, we're not going to give you a relocation, but we'll put you up in the Lauderdale Hotel. You've had £10,000 to sign for the football club. Like, we paid money for you. Stop taking the proverbial. So I stayed in the Lauderdale Hotel, dragged that out for as long as I could, of course, and then used that to buy the house. And then I always remember seeing Roland Witchley. And I went into the Indian by the ground. What was it? The Peach Tree? Yeah. So I went in there, and obviously as I've walked in, I'd met obviously the chairman since, and I'd gone in, and I just said, "All right, Gavin," and he calls me the boy. Here he is, the boy, and he's with his miss having a curry. Brilliant. Oh, Mr. Chairman, how are you? 'Cause, I was buzzing off him and that. And he went, what are you having? I was like, I was going to take a curry out so you can go to the reception part whilst everyone's sitting down. So he said to me, oh yeah, don't worry about it, I'll sort that out. And I was like, oh, Mr. Chairman, you don't have to do that. He went, no. So he said, don't try and play all coy now. You tried for asking for a relocation. This is in front of the whole restaurant. Yeah. Try relocation off me. You just be lucky. Where are you going to take this back to Lord Hill, where I'm paying for? I was like, yes, Mr. Chairman. He's like, right, get your curry and shoot off then. And
I've got a similar story. So when I signed back at Shrewsbury recently from Reading, I just thought relocation was just completely standard. Everywhere you went, you would get relocation. I didn't realise it was negotiable. I didn't know the club really.
Is there like a maximum of £8,000?
£8,000, yeah.
Is the maximum?
Yeah, so usually
8,000.
You go to a club, they give you £8,000 relocation.
That's what I asked for, by the way.
But don't always give you that, do they? When I signed for Shrewsbury, I didn't get that, but I got the same as you. Like, so I stayed in the Lord Hill, the hotel. I stayed in for 6 months. I did in the end, like living there.
Yeah, I was supposed to be there for a month. I think I was there for about 4 months.
But I didn't realise it cost the club anything. I just thought it was an expense and it kind of went against tax or something like that. So when they sorted the deal, and my agent says, do I get relocation then? My agent was like, live in Shrewsbury.
not really me, travelling from Ponsbury.
You're in Ponsbury,
but then he goes, but I'll tell you what, I'll ask. So I thought, this is going to be I was like, go on then. And then he come back, the chairman did, and he was like, about it. He bantered me a little bit about it, and he said, my agent told him, he's got to move all his stuff up from Reading. He's got to get like a van and stuff like that.
Oh, he's got so much stuff. That's going to cost £8,000 to move that.
So the chairman said, right, okay, I'll give you, I think it was like £2,000. I'll give you $2,000 and you can do it. Just give your receipts in. I never had the heart to give a receipt. Mate, I felt so bad.
That's
a different stage. Me and Sam would have given $2,500.
Yeah, well, I least took 100. I just got 2,100 just to test the water, see if I could get it.
I felt bad though. My dad picked me up from Reading and he got I had no stuff. It was a
duvet in the back.
Honestly, I moved into a furnished apartment down there, so I had nothing apart from my boots.
Fair play, Dave.
Let's push it.
Rowley's quality. I think he's brilliant.
Leon Augers asked, what was Saji Burton like to play with? Is he the hardest man with? I mean, I don't really know Saji. Do you know? Have you come across him, Dave?
I played with Saji Burton, so centre half at Shrewsbury.
He stayed with me for a bit as well.
I was probably more younger when Saji came in, so I would say he would be more that in-between age. You're saying sort of mid-20s,
He was me, wasn't he? Yeah, so Saji moved up and stayed with me. So he come from Peterborough, and he was in that.
Better off.
Yeah. He's a different character, Saj. So brilliant in every way, but also like I always remember we finished training and he was like staying with me at the time. And I said to him, I'm going to shoot home. He said, yeah, I've got to go and run some errands or whatever. No problem. I'm going to grab some food on the way home. He's like, yeah, no problem. I remember getting this salad. Went to the supermarket. I thought, I'll make the effort. So he's like, that afternoon we come home and I brought this salad, and he just got
the
it.
two of you to share.
No. Oh. Like each, went above and beyond for him. Got him this salad, and I always remember he sat on the sofa, and he went, "Are we having a cup of tea?" Yeah, I'll make you a cup of tea, of course, no problem. So give him the salad, and when I walked back in with a cup of tea, the salad was on the coffee table, sort of just with the fork in it. I was like, "Everything all right with the salad?" He went, "Too much mayo." Right, it's just cost me £7.50. Do you know what I mean? He's like, "Too much mayo." So I was like, "Oh, okay, no problem." So obviously, Mrs. comes home and all of that, and trying to, in the end, hoovering round him. Can you lift your feet up, Saji? Yeah. So he's like hoovering round him and all of that, and then gets to the evening, he's like, just going to pop out and get my hair cut. No problem. Comes home 7 hours later, about 1 o'clock in the morning. So I've come down. I'm like, Saj, what you doing, mate? You winding me up? He's like, yeah, I've been to get my hair cut. No, I appreciate that, mate. That was 7 hours ago. It's 1 o'clock in the morning. But yeah, I've had to go Birmingham, mate. Can't do this around Shrewsbury. Can't cut this hair in Shrewsbury, mate. I've had to go Birmingham. So that is the character. He was just on his own agenda completely. Do you know what I mean? But on that own agenda, he was quite a selfish guy. And I don't say that derogatory. I say that in a good way. And he was a team player, but also very selfish to the point where he genuinely believed, like it says here, was he the hardest man on earth? That is how he portrayed himself. He genuinely believed he was the strongest, the fastest, the quickest. And you've got to have respect for that.
Was he a good player?
Yeah, he was more of an athlete and a competitor, but he was a good player. My first encounter actually was when I was at Exeter. He was friends with my roommate Andy Cyrus, and they played at Crystal Palace together. So we come on trial at Exeter, and it didn't work out for whatever. And so then when I saw him join Shrewsbury, I was like, I wonder whether he's come on anymore and all of that. And obviously signed, but he's that type of player that you look at and go, warrior. Do you know what I mean? I remember the game, we spoke about it previously when we played Torquay away. We played against Leo Fortune West, and Leo's brilliant. But at that time, didn't know Leo, and Leo's an absolute animal on the football pitch. So me and Kelvin Langmead basically got him around the neck, Leo, with like jumping, trying to headbutt him in the back of the head. We're trying to do everything we can just to try and take the edge off Leo. But I think that game, I can't remember, I don't think we played a free at the back, but I think...
He played right back quite a bit.
He played right back, yeah. So Saj played right back.
Could he run?
Yeah, he could do all of that. But Saj had taken exception to the fact that Leo was basically taking up me and Kelv. So let me just tell you, like me and Kelv are like doing everything we can. We're flying into tackles with him, and like, we're not shirking, definitely not shirking anything. But he's hard work, isn't he, Leo? But Saj has taken exception, so he's coming off the line and just started trying to smash him. And then at half time, as we're walking off, I'm walking behind Leo, and like there's no sun on me because like Leo's so big, like you can't see the sun through him. But Saj has come from the right hand side and absolutely smashed into Leo, and just telling him, "Get out here at half time. Make sure you're out here at half time." Like smashing into him. Leo's just typical Leo, not phased. Like yeah, whatever, mate. But like that's Clash of the Titans stuff. So I suppose to answer the question, Saj was a warrior. He genuinely believed if you want to race, I'll beat you at a race. If you want to jump, I'll jump higher than you. Probably couldn't pass the ball better than you, but still very good player. But yeah, he was a team player.
He played a lot of games for Shrewsbury then?
I think the only reason he moved away was probably because that is Saj, isn't it? He's a little bit of a, he's a bit of a crisp packet. He will move around the country. He will move to different clubs. I can't see him, where there's been a lot of footballers moved to Shropshire to play for Shrewsbury and has stayed here, like myself. I don't think Saj is that person. So I don't think he moved because he wanted to, because they wanted him to move. I think Saj would have gone, that's my time done, enjoyed it here, like taking in a different environment and that. But he's a warrior, Dave, wasn't he? Yeah. That was the thing with him.
He was an athlete, wasn't he?
Yeah.
He knew his strengths, played to it.
Got another question here. Anything about Richard Hope? What was he like in the dressing room? Now, Hope, I wasn't at Shrewsbury, but he was at Shrewsbury with you, Gav, wasn't he? He was Shrewsbury with you, Dave, as well.
Yeah.
And then he was at Wrexham with me. Go on then, Dave. Tell me what your recollections are about Hopey.
Yeah, I liked Hopey. He had a lot of time for me when he was there. I was probably just really establishing myself in the team at this point. I've probably only been 19, 20, but I was starting to play every week. And he came in, and it was a prime time of me going out all the time. So
going out all of the time.
So I was going out we'd play a game on a Saturday.
Tuesday night.
Yeah, we go out on a Saturday. We're doing all day on a Sunday. Yeah. And then if we had a game on a Tuesday, then we'd go out on the Tuesday night after the game. Yeah. But if we didn't have a game, we'd
go out on Tuesday.
No, sorry, if we had a game, we'd go out on the Wednesday. If we didn't have a game, we'd go out on the Tuesday. So 3 times a week, we'd always go out. And Hope he moved down here on his own, didn't he?
Moved to Wem, didn't he?
Moved to Wem. He had a barn in Wem.
Barn, I went to his barn, yeah.
Yeah, stayed there a few times.
So I ended up getting quite close to Hope because he was obviously bored a lot of times. So I was a young lad, had no responsibility. So we go to the gym, fitness first after training, and then obviously go out a lot together. So I got on
He's
really
a left
well.
footer. He was a bit like you, Gab.
He essentially killed me, really, because obviously when I snapped my cheekbone, he was signed and he was a Gary Peters player, wasn't he? And credit to him, he did what he needed to do. Like Hopey's got ailments in his game, and as obviously we all have, especially at that level. But I suppose the greatest way to say it was Hopey was a Gary Peters player. Head it, kick it. And that's not doing him a disservice because he could play as well. What I found with Hopey was...
Who hope he could?
Yeah, he could play. Yeah, he had a good left foot.
You were with him before me, weren't you?
Yeah. No, I know the stories after that. But he knew what he needed to do in that team. And, I would find myself a little bit, because obviously I was desperate to get back in the team and I found myself getting in on occasion. But to his credit, he did what Gary Peters wanted him to do. And so I used to sort of sit there, and obviously as a player, you're like, I should be in there, I used to sort of sit there and go, wow. He heads it, he kicks it, and that sounds quite simplistic. That's not doing him a disservice. He used to do what he was asked to do.
He was clever though as well, because he used to scream at me and do his songs, or whoever's in front of him, he would get protected.
Let me come on to that in a minute, mate.
He would always drag me.
He would have Neil Ashton playing right next to him. He would have Kelv Langmead. When I used to play with Kelv Langmead, Kelv used to say to me, mate, it's refreshing because I don't have to play right on your right foot, because obviously Hope he would get him in. But like you said, like that season as well.
He was effective though.
Got to the playoff final, effective for what he did.
Was he captain of the playoff final?
But I was equally close to Hopey, and I was with Hopey through a time where I think his parents at the time were falling ill, and it was me, Hopey, and Kev Sharp that used to do the Tuesday Club. So we would find ourselves in the Bellstone, which was called.
You were quite earlier than us, weren't we? We didn't have the money, so we go out to.
You got about six. Yeah. You have 30 quid to last you the night.
Basically, whilst Dave was doing his extras after training, I was sat in the Bellstone with Hopey and Sharpie, which is looking back.
We used to get to Liquid on a Tuesday night, and it was 3 VK apples for a quid. No, 3 for 1 it was. So you'd quickly neck one, then you'd walk around the club with 2 in your hands.
Well, what used to happen was me, Hopey and Sharpie used to get to the Bellstone. Shout out now, Loopy Shrew it's called now, isn't it? Yeah. And we used to get there and we used to go, look, let's have a coffee. It's early, innit? Just finished, we're going to have a coffee, aren't we? So we'd have a coffee. And Sharpie, who's like amazing, we've got to talk more about Kev Sharp, but Sharpie would go, have a Guinness, won't we?
Have one.
No, let's have another coffee, because it's a bit early. Go, let's have a Guinness. Have a Guinness, because it's full of iron, isn't it? So we'll have a Guinness. Yeah, go on then, I'll have a Guinness with you, Sharpie. So Sharpie would bring the Guinnesses over. And we'd have 2 Guinness. Go, a bit bloated. Let's get the lager, wouldn't we? Nah, Sharpie, honestly, mate, I don't want to do it. And this was every week. So it wasn't like like a one-off.
You know what's coming.
Yeah, but a one-off, you get duped. But Sharpie just had this brilliant way of going to me and Hopey. A bit bloated off the old Guinness. Yeah, a little bit, yeah. Have a lager. Because it's a bit gassy, innit? We'll have a lager. We'll have one lager and see how we get on. And obviously then...
5 o'clock on the double whiskey.
Getting in at 4 o'clock with a brandy in your hand. Going, yeah. You said you'd be on, So me and Hopey at that time, and he was going through a really difficult time. So we spent a lot, like very similar to you, Dave. We spent a lot of time nights out and obviously talking, drunk talk and all of that. But with that comes the shenanigans and everything. Like Hopey climbing on the top of cars and falling.
He was not an angry drunk, but an argumentative drunk, wasn't he?
Sharpie used to call me his bouncer. Because whenever he got in trouble, I would have to step in and just try and, go, oh, I'm really sorry. And please, please understand and all of that. And Hopey's like, do you know what? Funny enough, after that, because Hopey was really social, wasn't he? Really sociable. Went to Wrexham, obviously didn't go well for him there, went to Grimsby. It all sort of turned around really quickly for him. And I think he ended up on the All Rigs, didn't he?
Yeah.
He's working on the All Rigs. And then I went with my wife to the V Festival. Holly was stood there and she went to me, what's the matter with you? I went, I've seen a ghost. What are you on about? I went, hang on a minute, babe. 2 seconds. I run over to where these porta cabins were because I was convinced it was him. I was thinking, it can't be Hopey. Surely it was Hopey. And I was like, all right, Hopey.
Western Park.
Yeah, Western Park. Yeah, I was like, all right, Hopey. And he's like, honestly, it was like, I haven't seen you in ages, embracing and all of that. And then literally must have been chatting for 2 minutes. He went, right, mate, I'll see you later. He was gone. And I was like, number? You want to exchange numbers or get together and that? He's gone, mate. I've not spoke to him since. And that was him all over. He's very emotional guy, wasn't he? And but also to protect himself from the emotion, he would go from being really emotional to completely shut off.
I think, Dave, what I remember what you said about getting him in. I used to be left-sided centre half, and I used to be on the left wing for Wrexham, and he would be trying to pull me in to stand on the centre forwards tours from left wing, and I used to be like, mate, you deal with the centre forward. I'm not asking you to come and help me with a right back. You deal with his centre forward because his legs had gone a little bit. So, he, like you said there, he'd be pulling in the centre mid, he'd be pulling in the left back, he'd be pulling the left wing. So, yeah, he didn't have a great time at Wrexham. But, yeah, great lad. Top fella, good bloke. Gav, what do we do? How do we get in touch
if people
with us?
want to listen to it, it's all on all platforms. We're on In the Stiffs on Twitter, on Facebook and Instagram. And if you want to email us, we're inthestiffs@gmail.com.